Daniel Boone Forest, established in 1937, is the only national forest completely within the boundaries of Kentucky. This forest maintains over 706,000 acres in 21 counties of eastern Kentucky. It stretches from Moorhead to the Tennessee border. Daniel Boone National Forest is home to some of the most rugged terrain west of the Appalachian Mountains. It is also home to Kentucky's only premier gourmet mushroom farm, and their technique for growing oyster and shiitake mushrooms is unlike anywhere else. Today we're at Sheltowee Farms in Salt Lick, Kentucky. We're going to learn more about what some call the meat of the vegetable world and their grower, Billy Edward Webb, Mr. Fungi. Billy Webb of Sheltowee Farms has seen his fair share of hard times on the farm. However, he is proven to be just as resilient as the organic mushrooms he grows. It is no surprise that he is so hardy and seasoned. He has a background as a Special Operations Naval Officer with a degree in chemical engineering and a postgraduate degree in toxology and hazardous substances. Now, you might be wondering how that background would lead someone into the forest to forage for mushrooms. But it's actually a perfect fit. Okay, so I'm here with Mr. Fungi, Billy Edward Webb, and you are the owner, operator, farmer, just creator of Sheltowee Farms.
Yes.
Yeah, so you grow mushrooms. How did you get into this?
I was, after retiring from the Navy, I was working for the Economic Development Cabinet, and I heard about this process of they were going to promote shiitake mushrooms on logs as an alternative to tobacco crop. And decided that I would go into the business, and I left my state job to put this farm in.
We're standing in a beautiful part of your farm,
Yes.
But it's actually kind of a poignant part too, because this is really where it all started.
This is the beginning. This little road going down into here, we cleared out all the woodlands that are down in there, cleared out all the brush, and this is where we started stacking our shiitake mushroom logs. In 2006, if you followed this little trail, you would find 18,000 mushroom logs.
Wow. For just the average person watching, if they see a wild mushroom, I mean, they shouldn't eat it, right? Because there are just so many out there that can be harmful.
Well, in this little valley that we're in here, there's over 1,000 species of mushrooms. But when someone buys a foraging class for me, I can't hunt morel mushrooms now because they're only a 3-week season in the spring.
Right.
And then there's chanterelles, and then there's mayatakes, and hen of the woods, and chicken of the woods, and all those other nice mushrooms. Well, if someone buys a foraging class off of me, they just have to watch the Facebook page and say, hey, I'm finding these right now, come on down.
Right.
And so they buy a foraging class for the year.
Well, and I bet that is really interesting to kind of take someone out who maybe doesn't know how to do that and really know what to look for and be able to point those things out. And I'm sure farmers like getting the product from you too.
They do. The chefs at the high-end restaurants are the greatest foragers. They'll come down with their whole staff, and we'll go out on a foraging trip, and I let them keep most of the mushrooms that they find, and then they cook with them, and once they cook with them, they say, can I get these? I want more of these.
Right. Well, tell me a little bit about kind of the process. I mean, you've kind of created something. You went from the logs. I guess we'll start there. You had the logs, and then we had the drought.
We had the drought. In the old process, we would drill the logs, put the spawn in the logs, wax the logs, then incubate the logs for 18 months. With sawdust, we've made the media more digestible, readily digestible, and easier for the mushroom. We adjust all the media to what we're looking for the specific mushroom that we're growing. And then we sterilize it, kill everything. And then we take it into the microbiology lab, and we add our spawn to those special bags that are cooking bags that have a breathable patch on them. And it takes about 10 weeks to go through the incubation process, and you cut the plastic off the bag, and about 8 days later, you have shiitake mushrooms. Not 18 months later, but about 11 weeks from the time you start to the time you pick a mushroom.
So you've compacted it.
We've compacted.
And you've definitely made it a quicker turnaround.
And we've made it year-round.
Right. You've taken it out of the elements, and you've been able to put it in somewhere where it's covered, and you can be getting these fresh mushrooms in December.
In January, in February.
Right. That's great.
The oyster process is a totally different situation. We take straw, and we pasteurize the straw, and then we put it in those columns, those tubes, and we poke holes in the tubes, and the mushrooms grow out the side of the tubes. That process is even faster than the shiitakes.
Oh, wow.
That can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks till we're picking a mushroom.
And so basically what you're doing is you're making sure that you're taking anything that you don't want growing on it, and then you're adding what you do want to grow on it.
I always say first fungus in wins.
First fungus in wins, that's right. Oh, good. Well, I'm excited to see how you pack the bags. Oyster mushrooms are very popular gourmet mushrooms that lend themselves well to a variety of dishes due to their subtle flavors and tender texture. They grow in clusters, and many feel like they look, smell, and taste of their namesake, oysters. Shiitake mushrooms, on the other hand, have an intensely meaty flavor and a sturdy texture. This mushroom, native to East Asia, has been considered to be medicinal by some due to emerging evidence that it can boost the immune system and decrease cholesterol levels. Coming up next, I'm going to help harvest these 2 varieties of mushrooms and learn a delicious way to cook with them. We're at Sheltowee Farm today in Salt Lick, Kentucky, which is part of the Daniel Boone National Forest. We have been talking with Billy Webb about his organic gourmet mushroom farm. He has created a completely unique way to grow oyster and shiitake mushrooms that is unlike anywhere else. We are not only going to get to harvest these mushrooms, but also learn how to cook with them. Okay, so explain to me a little bit about this process, what we're going to be doing here.
We're going to be making an oyster bag.
Okay.
Okay, we typically make them out of straw, and we use a little bit of sawdust.
Okay.
And we've soaked it in water and pasteurized it and cooled it, and then we're going to add the spawn to it. We take the wheat grain, and the wheat, when we put the mushroom mycelia into the grain, and then it takes about 10 days for it to occupy all of the grain kernels. So this is just not, we're not taking wheat and saying it's a mushroom thing. We're just using it as a vehicle to transfer the mushroom. And this has a good amount of protein in it. The mushroom likes to get in there, gets healthy in there, and then we have a way that we've measured out the exact amount to get the proper ratios so we have the best results.
Okay.
So we have to get this busted up really nice.
Okay.
So we'll reach up in here and we'll pull out some of the straw. And you can feel that straw and see that it's now tender now.
Now tell me about the white stuff that's in there. That's showing that the mushroom is kind of...
The white is mycelia, which the mushroom is a white rot fungus. And it's a wood decomposer. So what we've done to our mixes here, you see poplar sawdust chips in here.
Right.
The oyster mushroom loves poplar. So we pull this out and we kind of guess at it and say, well, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to say that that's about a 20 to 22 pound bag. That would match with the spawn that we're going to put over top of it. And then we can kind of reach in here. You have gloves and we want to bust up those pieces. And we're doing one of the biggest no-nos of this whole business. We're talking over top of our product here. So we're pretty good about not slobbering or something like that. But
okay.
You take that side of it and you're going to reach over here like this and pull it in and just give it a roll. Now, we put a plastic tube on the end, and we're just going to start sliding that up to the tube and letting it fall into there. Just start pushing her down in the tube. And Jordan's going to bounce the tube.
I'll try not to cover you in this stuff.
And we try to do 3 to 4 cooks of this per week. And Jordan will take over right there and we'll just reach up here and start doing this again.
Sheltowee Farm has produced such lovely organic gourmet mushrooms that many regional chefs, restaurants, caterers, and retail customers are keeping the demand up for consistent year-round production. Sheltowee Farms will grow about 1,000 pounds of oyster and shiitake mushrooms every month and delivering them to over 80 restaurants and retail outlets, some as far away as Atlanta, Georgia. One such restaurant is Portofino's in Lexington, Kentucky. Their former chef became such a huge fan of Sheltowee Farms that he decided to come and work for them. I'm here with Jordan Knoll, and he is not only a chef, but you also work here at Sheltowee Farms.
I do. I've been working out here helping Billy on the farm since about September. Kind of my food philosophy, I was working in the kitchen very, very long hours, always demanding product. Really developed a relationship with a lot of the different farmers around, fell in love with what they were doing. To see where my food philosophy went, I felt like I needed to take a step back from the kitchen momentarily, go work with the farmers, see what they have to do, appreciate the food a little better, and see where that takes me.
Well, tell me what you're going to be preparing for us today. I see a lot of lovely mushrooms here.
Well, exactly. I've got a nice melange of mushrooms sitting up here in front of us here. You all actually got here in time to see the chanterelle mushroom over here, the orange one. They grow wild. Nobody's figured out how to grow them yet. If we do, then that'll make everybody a little happier. We've got some shiitake mushrooms over here. We have some Italian oyster mushrooms, some yellow oyster mushrooms, pink oyster mushrooms, and down here in the front we have some lion's mane mushrooms as well.
Those are so different looking.
they are wild, and every one of them has its own unique flavor profile. But when I found out we were doing this cooking segment, I talked to a few of the local farmers that we've been helping out around here. I wanted to do something very simple, highlight all the ingredients. Everything you see is organic. I wanted to highlight all the food. So I talked and got just some sweet onions, a few different kinds of tomatoes and peppers, and the mushrooms, and Good Shepherd sheep's cheese. And we will be making a Sheltowee Farm 4 mushroom flatbread today.
Okay, that sounds good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Really good. Think our day at Sheltowee Farm looked like fun? Well, you're in luck. Any local traveler can visit the farm. Not only are they open for tours, but you could also schedule a time to learn how to forage in the forest for mushrooms. However, you might take it one step further and think that growing your own mushrooms seems like a fun hobby. Well, guess what? Sheltowee Farm can help you out with that too. They sell kits to take home so you too can learn how to be a mushroom farmer and become an all-around fun guy. What a day we've had today at Sheltowee Farms. My knowledge of these little toadstools has mushroomed. Make sure and add this to your local traveler list.